The Great Depression of the 1930s hit Mexican American immigrants especially hard, along with the job crisis and food shortages that affected all U.S. workers. Mexican and Mexican Americans had to face an additional threat: deportation. As unemployment swept the U.S., hostility toward immigrant workers grew, and the government began a program of repatriating immigrants to Mexico. Immigrants were offered free train rides to Mexico, and some went voluntarily. But many were tricked into repatriation, and some U.S. citizens were deported simply on suspicion of being Mexican. All in all, hundreds of thousands of Mexican immigrants, especially farm workers, were sent out of the country during the 1930s. Many of them the same workers who had been eagerly recruited a decade before. Many found temporary stability in the migrant work camps established by the U.S. Farm Security Administration, or FSA. The FSA camps provided housing, food, and medicine for migrant farm families, as well as protection from criminal elements that often took advantage of vulnerable migrants. The FSA set up several camps specifically for Mexican Americans in an attempt to create safe havens from violent attacks. The camps also provided an unexpected benefit. In bringing together so many individual farm families, they increased ties within the community. Although farming was an important source of employment for Mexican immigrants, by the end of the 1930s, Mexican Americans were established throughout the American workforce. Mexican immigrants and their descendants could be found in most of the industries of the Southwest, including ranching and mining. The farm workers who remained struggled to survive in desperate conditions. Bank foreclosures drove small farmers from their land, and large landholders cut back on their permanent workforce. As with many southwestern families, a great number of Mexican American farmers discovered they had to take a migratory existence and traveled the highways in search of work. America's growing rail network was particularly important for Mexican immigrants. The railroad industry had long turned to immigrants from Mexico as a source of low-cost labor. In return, Mexican workers found the railways offered not only employment but also mobility. They often used this relatively inexpensive form of travel to move their families further into the north and east of the U.S. and into a more urban way of life. Under the current administration, the past year has seen dramatic shifts in immigration policy, including increased immigration enforcement, travel bans targeting primarily Muslim countries, the termination of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals (DACA) program, and the cancellation of temporary protective status for Salvadorians, Haitians, and the Nepalese. Although some of these policies are being litigated, the negative effects of these proposed policies have had a resounding impact on the well-being of immigrant communities. Notably, research has shown that the Latino immigrant community is disproportionately affected by restrictive immigration policy, including forcible removal. Current estimates reveal that the Latino population is the largest minority group in the U.S., with 19 million foreign-born individuals from Latin America. These communities contribute to our society by benefiting the economy, professional sector, and cultural fabric of our country. After 4 decades of strong growth, the Mexican immigrant population in the United States hit a turning point in 2010. While the overall number of immigrants in the country increased every year between 2010 and 2017, the number of Mexicans started a slow decline in 2014. Between 2016 and 2017, the Mexican immigrant population shrunk by about 300,000, from 11.6 million to 11.3 million. Nonetheless, Mexicans are still the largest foreign-born group in the country, accounting for 25% of the 44.5 million immigrants as of 2017.
My name is Sandra Reyes. I live in Nevada. How do I feel our immigration contributed to this country? By obeying the rules, follow the follow every single laws, do the right things, pay your taxes. Um, Immigration doesn't come and steal jobs like they're supposed to say we do. We pay taxes like everybody else. Most of us take jobs that other people don't take. We go for the lowest pay. And what else? Another way we contribute these countries is by making a huge contribution to an economy.